asked each one of them. Each one of them have told their area of interest and the specializations. Now, this is data, this is information. So, I don't know, I'm hearing this for the first time. So, this is all jumbled up. These are numbers. All these are numbers. These are all jumbled up in the brain. The immediate task is to make some sense of this. I said in the beginning that I would like to align myself like that. So that means I would like to adapt this information. So that means there has to be some processing, and this processing should give me a conclusion. Without a conclusion, this processing will have no meaning. So this is the basic idea behind this particular field area, which is picked up phenomenally in the last 15 years. Now, of course, with these language models coming up, things have taken another direction altogether. The way we think, the way we work, that also has to change. But the way I'm going to conduct this actually should be adapted to the background that I have, background information that I have collected from you. One more piece of information is very crucial. That is, how many of you have actually done some Google Forms type of surveys? Very good. So that means there are still some who have not done, right? So this is like this Google Forms again is a mechanism which you will find, a mechanism to collect information much easier in a structured way, very effectively from entities or individuals that otherwise we will never ever be able to reach. Just to give you an example, so I will just remain very slow. If you find it too slow, then you can tell me, maybe I can speed up. Okay? So my idea for today is, this is typically best. What we could have done is that we could have spread it into 2 days. That is what best, because on the same day doing the background and doing the hands-on, it becomes too much to pick up on the same day. So back to this Google Forms thing that I was saying. So now you can launch a Google Form for your NAC related activities. You must be doing that already. Reach out to your past students. Reach out to your past students who have passed out. Some of them may be settled in America, Australia, anywhere in the world they may be settled. And you need information from them, right? Say every cycle, one piece of information that we require is, as to what are they doing right now, how many jobs they have changed, this kind of information. Some of you like say evidences they have to provide. Evidence, I think you must also be like that. So all this information now can be collected. Otherwise, it was really not possible to collect. It was much difficult. There are 2 aspects to it. Actually, come to think of it, one aspect I have left out because there are a lot of people with HR background. There are actually 3 aspects. First one I am leaving, the planning thing. Second and third is what interests me immediately. The second is that I send out a form, structure, design, and send out a form to the individuals who are my targets and gather that information. That is the second stage. The third stage is very crucial. To make sense of that information that we have collected. Because information per se has got no use. I think that every one of us knows it very well. This Google Forms connects to multivariate analysis techniques immediately and very well. How many of you have actually administered a standardized questionnaire to some individuals? So this is a different ballgame altogether. This is a different ballgame altogether. Generally what happens? So you think about a circuit, you straight to sit down and take a piece of paper, 2 or 3 of you sit down, and then you start to jot down the questions, possible answers, and you do that in the way. So R.A. Fisher had said, quote unquote, to call upon a statistician after the data has been collected is equivalent to asking him to do a postmortem. Literally. Because you didn't call, you didn't approach. That is the first mistake that we made. The person with physics background should be approached while planning before actually collecting information. Because what is seen is that generally what happens is that the data which we collect becomes really difficult to be analyzed. In the case of standardized questionnaires, the one that you have, which instrument have you implemented, madam?
Sir, I did 5 months before meeting as well as a glossary questionnaire for pedagogy contract.
So, the word itself says that they are standardized instruments. Standardized instruments means, instrument is the word that the psychology people use. Typical statistics, I will not immediately understand that. But I have my daughter doing psychology, so I understand these things very well. So standardized instrument means a set of questions, you can think about it, that have been tested on a large set of subjects, the results obtained, and the final conclusions can be generated based on those large scale of data, large scale of collections. Those instruments, details, are not available in the public. You have to buy it. You have to buy it. Did you use the standardized scales?
Yeah, that was mentioned by Roshi.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like this. I have got one question. Some of the questions I will take up towards the end, maybe in the lab session. We'll see how that translates to the multivariate analysis. Most of these, you can immediately visualize that this is actually a set of questions, right? Suppose a 10, 15, 20, like that, a set of questions which you give out and you ask people to respond. Those responses are recorded. Those records become data. So you can think about a question in a questionnaire as a variable for statistical analysis. That is the simplest that you can do. Right? If we have this mapping in mind, then analysis becomes easier. So once we have the data, the next immediate thing is the choice of the software. That is very crucial. Why this is crucial is that can make choice of the wrong choice of the question software can make my life that much more complicated. So the same thing जो मैं ऐसे खा सकता था अभी मैं घुमा करके खाऊं ऐसे हो सकता है अगर मैंने सही सॉफ्टवेयर की चॉइस नहीं करी. Right? इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में SPSS बहुत काम आएगा. I learned that probably you sometimes back had sessions on R programming, right? Same things definitely can be done in R, Python, SPSS, SysStep, MyStep, SigmaStep. Same things can be done. All. So then the question is as to why SPSS? SPSS is Statistical Packages for Social Sciences. Why SPSS? Number one, it's very popular in Southeast Asia. Because if you are looking for hunting for a job, and if you say that you have got a bunch of SPSS, Python, SAS kind of softwares, then you have got one level up waiting for a job in job market. Second thing is, first is popularity in Southeast Asia. Second thing is that it is very handy. You will see that it's very handy. You really need not know. It will be all click, click, click. Right? There will be practically no programming. But I will tell you the other side of it. Why? Because there are some disadvantages of learning in one particular way, and there are some advantages of running in another category. That's what I mean. So in typical conventional style, I will not do. Then I think everybody can just open up a YouTube video and then you can do it on your own. Don't need anybody's help actually. Just do this, you sit down, you are a little bit Excel aware, I think fair enough. You can just get on with SPSS. Okay. So this is what my plan for the day is. I will definitely immediately skip this part of it, that is the big data part of it, because I thought I would spend some time on what is big data and like that, because of the time and the objective that I have set out for myself. I will skip this part. Okay, just quickly one thing that we can think about is, the moment we talk about big data, three characteristics that we can think of. B3, that is, you have to, is it readable or not? It's big.
Not clearly.
Not clear.
So you can
So
zoom
the
in.
person is saying, Vibhas?
ये लाइट
क्या नाम
है
है?
एक्चुअली उस लाइट को थोड़ा कम कर सके तो फिर हो जाएगा.
So basically it is readable, but the font is not accurate. So you can zoom in.
Then
Yes, sir. Now it is
is it better?
Yes, sir.
Is it better?
Yeah, you can, if you want, just come in the front and you can have a look at it.
Rest assured, I will not ask questions. That's the last thing I'm going to do. After all, we are all teachers. I think all of us are teachers primarily, right? Yeah. So the three things that we should remember the moment someone talks about big data is volume, that is the volume of data. The second is the variety of data. That's the second one. The third is the velocity. That is the rate at which this data is available. Best example that we can think of is credit cards. Credit cards. Debit cards, credit cards, cards basically. Cards is a business. Some 15 years back, sometimes in the middle of 90s, when there was a slowdown in the US economy, there were retrenchments. Everything had happened in the market, job market, but in G capital, they did not have to. They did not chuck out a single person. I had friends in these places, students in these places, primarily because of two businesses which G capital used to, Genpact then came in, G capital used to handle. One is the G aircraft engines business, that is the core business, G aircraft business. The second was the cards business. So they used to handle, even SBI's card they used to handle. So this itself had enough opportunity for jobs to continue because the businesses continued like that, even though there was a slowdown. So you can clearly see with every swipe of my card, all the three things will be touched on. Volume, variety, and velocity. So we did not get into all that, because if we focus on this is the next that I would like to definitely touch upon about types of data is structured and unstructured data. This is the age of AI, and AI deals with a lot of unstructured data. So this is some example of unstructured data. Structured data, the Google Sheets collected data is my structured data. So even if the responses are in some words or sentences, they are structured. Okay, you can think about it like this: that data which can be arranged in the form of a row and a column matrix, right? unstructured data, can somebody tell me?
Customer reviews.
Yeah.
Customer reviews.
Facebook, Twitter data,
From different sources.
WhatsApp data, signals data. Analysis on these are also happening. So security agencies are doing this. So that means what are they doing on? They are doing on text. They are doing that on text. And that text has, that text is not unique. Not unique. So that is what is unique. So that is unstructured data. This session completely is for structured data. I am not even touching upon unstructured data. If you are doing unstructured data, SPSS has some modules, but then I think SPSS is not the right software to choose for unstructured data, because then R and Python does much better, because it is a better libraries. Okay. Next we get on to multivariate data and their analysis. So this was a very famous example. I think you must be knowing. This is that Kodak and the Polaroid cameras case. I think because you is a big school, business school, I think you all must be knowing this case. Right? This settlement in the US courts had happened based on a research work done by an Indian. He is Professor Vijay Mahajan. He is in Texas, Austin. So they have published a paper on this. This paper is available on the internet. If you see, I think Mahajan and Muller was the author of that. So what this done is that there was a court litigation. One company said that look, this Polaroid business is mine, patented technology. The other guy had brought out a Insta camera. So then they say that, okay, so one said that the other one has taken away my money, the other one said that the guy had benefited because of my advertisements. So that means, because Polaroid came earlier. So this settlement had happened later on, sometimes in 1976. In fact, it was said that the originator had benefited because of Kodak's advertisement. And the difference is what they had to pay out. Those days it used to make huge amount of money. So the point that I am trying to make is that these settlements, these things, behind these things also are statistical models that come into play. The last of this is, so the first case, that is where my mouse cursor is, this case, you can see my mouse cursor on the left is Vijay Mahajan's case, and the bottom single liner, that is Deepak Jain's case. Professor Deepak Jain, he was primarily a statistician. He went into his PhD under Frank Bass, and he gave him this target sampling and neutral sampling concept. He said that look, when you are launching a new product of a particular type, there is no sense in distributing more than 5 to 7% free samples. It's not going to do anything extra. Now that is in a US kind of an economy. So parallel to this, in heterogeneous markets like say India, South Korea, these studies have not been done yet. So this is an open topic for these places. The answer will quite likely be different. This 5 to 7% is for US and the advanced nations. So naturally the way they do things and the way we do things are different. Okay. Next, I quickly deviate onto a topic before really switching on to SPSS kind of thing, scales of measurement. Could somebody tell me if you have studied scales of measurement sometimes earlier? Scales of measurement. Okay, so yesterday night my wife was telling me that you have fascination for this particular topic. Wherever you go, the first thing. So it is like the lightning of the lamp in statistics, in data analysis. This particular topic, that is scales of measurement of data. You know it, but you have never thought on this.
The ratio field or everything.
Yes. So probably you have psychology background, right?
Yes, but I have read stats also in 3 years of my graduation.
Yeah.
Even in the MBA also we teach nominal scale, ordinal scale.
Yes.
Scales are
Yes.
semantic scale.
Right. So what I will do is, I will quickly, this point onwards, all the things, a single reference if you want, that book is good. That we have. If it is readable. Is it readable?
And introductions to multivariate.
An introduction to multivariate techniques for social sciences, social and behavioral sciences by Bennett and Bowers. But this is a good book. PDF is available. You can, if ever you are doing anything on multivariates, this is available. Okay. Let's. Then this is clear. This we have already discussed. This is how data analysis will go. And in the present context, in the business and industry is what we are concerned with, because the focus is there for today. Okay. So collection, presentation, analysis, interpretation, and that's what this subject will be concerned about. The subject of statistics will be concerned about. Application domain could be different. So in this case, it is in business and industry. But otherwise, this is the general format. Okay. Planning is the stage I have not included, because planning, a typical statistician will not do. That involves the end user. So whosoever has the study planning, study planned, he or she should be engaging a statistician while planning. So it is not the statistician's job completely, but the statistician can definitely help. And you will see later today that in some of the questions, data that we collect becomes nearly redundant for analysis. Okay. So I think this is well known. The first thing that we do is these: organize, summarize, and present. And the next thing that we are interested in is, from the data that we have collected, that is, we generate some inferences from the sample for the population that we have, that we are engaging. So that means, suppose I say RICS is a scale, Rosenberg's self-esteem scale. Okay? This is a standard scale. Rosenberg's self-esteem scale. Suppose I administer, then what is my conclusion going to be targeted the group at? Which is that group for which I am targeting my conclusions? Okay. So that's what we are saying. From the sample, we will go back to the population. Generally, population is large. So typically, suppose say we have distributed the Google Forms, suppose say RICS questions, self-esteem questions we have given out. Then the disadvantage of Google Form is that whosoever has the link typically will be able to fill data. So there is no control over the age groups. But what should be done at the back end, while the data is still being collected, is to push in some desired segments. For example, say age and gender. Say you find that a lot of people under the age of 30 have responded, but most among them are male. Females have not. So then you should be focusing on 17 to 30 female. That's what I'm saying. So that should be done ongoing while the data is still being collected. So that is clear. There is no way out just to push for collection of that kind of data. That's what I was saying. Because my conclusion is about going to be above that age group for the whole population, right? So maybe it is for the city of Delhi, maybe it is for the institution or whatever, right? Okay. Next, what about variables? We will need to know about variables when we are doing SPSS. The first thing that we need to know is that a variable is simply what is being observed or measured. The variable is simply what is being observed or measured, and the variables can be depending on the purpose of different types. The first is with respect to, say, measurements. It could be discrete or continuous. It could be discrete or continuous. So discrete is understood. They are in whole numbers. Continuous. So some examples say height, weight. These are continuous measurements. But then suppose I measure my height in centimeters. Okay. So my height is, say, about say 177 centimeters. 177.5 centimeters. But this is a continuous measurement. Typically, continuous measurements cannot be done exact. The quote unquote, the underpinning is that for every measurement that you do in a continuous scale, there exists a measurement which is greater than that. So that means it is never ending. So most logically, it should be measured in a range. It should be measured in a range. But if we measure it in a range, it becomes difficult to analyze. It becomes difficult to analyze because it is a range. For example, if I give my height, if I ask all of you the height and I give you ranges, say 140, 150, 150, 160, 170, 80 like that, this data when I will get, what will I have in that Excel sheet? When I collect this data, I will have these ranges. So how will I analyze this? Because the mathematical methods which we have, that are meant for either integers or real numbers. So those variables that we use should either be of these two types, discrete or continuous. Discrete or continuous. Right. So is the representative value concept comes in. So if it is a class interval, then it is the midpoint of the class interval which is used. Right. So what is the midpoint of the class interval? It is just a representative value for that particular range. So it is assumed that all data is located at that particular midpoint, which is an assumption actually. So that's what I was saying. If it is a continuous scale, we have to discretize for the purpose of analysis, and that itself will bring in an approximation. Okay. Based on the type of relationships, we can name on variables like, say, independent variables or dependent variables. I got a very simple expression that's like Ax plus epsilon. This is a typical statistical model. This is a typical statistical model. It is not a mathematical relation. You can see this. This is not a mathematical relation. It is a statistical relationship. The difference between a mathematical expression and a statistical model is in the error term. This last term, epsilon error. That is where the difference comes. Okay. Otherwise, the function that I have taken is pretty simple. Ax plus b. That itself can be quite complicated. It is a linear function. This is linear. It is a linear relationship. It is a non-linear function. It is a non-linear relationship. Typically, life is never linear. Life is always complicated, much complicated that we can think of. The models that we build in are non-linear. Non-linear models are very difficult to be analyzed. Very difficult to be analyzed. So I think you got it. So rather than this, actually, we can marker or something.
You want a marker?
Yes.
Sorry.
Just check for health. I don't have.
Are you very sure? Can you? I will check.
So, right. So, the general form in which I would like to write my relation is y is equal to fx plus epsilon. Fx plus epsilon. Okay? So, this is y equal to fx plus epsilon. This is our let's do it. Okay. Right. Next. So depending on the nature of fx, whether it is linear or non-linear, we will have a linear model or a non-linear model. Right? Okay. Most of these statistical analysis which we will be doing in SPSS, most of these, not all, most of these are linear. How many of you have used SPSS this far? SPSS have you used?
So I used it in my MBA, but after that I have.
Doesn't matter. So just vaguely you must be remembering a little bit, isn't it? So actually it's like swimming. You learn it only once, you never forget it, right? So just that you got to never ever. There are YouTube videos. I checked. That's why I'm saying yes, YouTube videos are very dangerous. I ask my students never ever to consult YouTube videos. It has to be a controlled resource. Because जिसको जो मर्जी आए, जो ठीक समझता है वही रख दिया ना, तो कोई कंट्रोल तो है नहीं ना। एक वीडियो में ये कहते हैं कि आप सर्च एंड रिप्लेस कर दीजिए। उसको हिंदी में बोलेंगे तो माथा पड़ गया। That's what his suggestion was. Is it a joke? You can't be doing that. Small data, 200, 300, 400, fine. You can do it like this. Because you've got to physically scan. Otherwise, there has to be an Excel code written to do that. It is never ever going to be such an experience. Why? Example. Agree, mostly agree, highly agree, kind of thing. Difference is very slight if you are making replacements. You have to be very careful. And this control starts, search and replace, this is never ever do. That is a disclaimer, right? Okay. But I'll have to do this kind of coding. Then only I'll be able to do analysis, right? But the bottom line is, on these numbers, I cannot do any mathematical computations. Because breakfast khaya, nahi khaya, 1, 0. Khaya 1, nahi khaya 0. चल यार कोई बात नहीं, डेटा का एवरेज निकाल लो. आंसर आया 1.75. What do you do with that? What do you do with that? That is the biggest mistake that person makes in English. You can count. Yes. So that means, that's precisely, there are procedures which can be applied to specific scales of intelligence. That's what I'm discussing. You can do this kind of, they're just classificatory. We can do counting kind of things. We can't do anything. So, because there will be a temptation to calculate mean, standard deviation. We can't do 1 0 तो दिख ही रहा है, वो तो जाएगा ही, नंबर तो आ ही जाएगा। 1 0 है तो ओके 1.75 मैंने बोला 1.75 बोला ना, आपने ऑब्जेक्शन नहीं किया। That means you are not fully either listening or understanding. 0 1 एवरेज निकलेंगे सारे मिला करके किस रेंज में होगा? उस स्केल के अंदर ही तो होगा, ठीक है जी? Yes. So please raise an objection if you don't like. I am open to that. But the bottom line is, this is the weakest scale. In this, we can just do counting. We can't do anything more than that. The next is ordinal. One additional thing is that now we can compare them. We can compare them. Whatever, we can compare them. And this is mostly very commonly used. Okay? Best example is this. I had a friend who was getting, you have one major, the other one is one. They have a comparison like this. They are categories. Then there is some kind of comparison from best to worst to worst to worst. Likert scale is the best you can think about. Likert scale. Okay? All this is in the context of SPSS. So that means when I am discussing SPSS, I also have in the back of my mind Excel. Knowledge of Excel will be required. Likert scale. Okay? 5-point scale, 7-point scale, 9, 11. Okay? So basically, data which is measured in ordinal scale will allow some kind of comparison. What kind of methods that we can apply? Typically, methods like say medians or non-parametrics can be easily applied without much problem. Non-parametric methods. So most of the parametric methods cannot be applied as such. Why? On account of various reasons. So like say disagree, almost agree, agree, highly agree. So 4 I have said. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4. My Excel sheet is 1, 2, 3, 4. I have the temptation to do all analysis with that. So we have to check whether we can do that or not. The best part in Excel is that SPSS. The best part in Excel, SPSS is that I can disclose that what scale is my variable in. If I tell that, then SPSS will tell me, okay, you can't do this. You can't do this. Otherwise, forcefully you can always do it. Over and above this, since the magnitude of difference has no meaning in this case, right? ये जो agree वाला example बोला, उनमें 2 - 1 भी 1 है, 4 - 3 भी 1 है, तो इस तरह की कोई meaning नहीं, यही meaning है। मतलब perception में suppose मैंने पूछा light कैसा है, light कैसा है, क्या slide पढ़ने में आ रहा है? आपको मैंने response आपसे मांगा, suppose worst, average, good, best, right? इसको मैंने कोड कर दिया 1, 2, 3, 4. मेरी एक्सेल शीट में तो है 1, 2, 3, 4. अब 2 - 1 भी 1 है, उधर 4 - 3 भी 1 है. वो कोई मीनिंग नहीं है उसका. यही है लास्ट पॉइंट, दैट इज magnitude of difference has no meaning. Because magnitude of difference has no meaning, you cannot apply certain things, right? But you can remember one thing. We can apply those procedures which does not depend on the origin and the scale. Origin and the scale. You can apply those procedures. Parametric, non-parametric तो कर ही सकते हैं, median कर सकते हैं, quartile कर सकते हैं, percentile कर सकते हैं, no problem. Counting ही तो है. वो भी कर सकते हैं जो प्रोसेस, जो मेथड्स ओरिजिन और स्केल के ऊपर डिपेंड नहीं करता. आपको बताना है कोई एक स्टैटिस्टिकल मेथड या कोई भी स्टैटिस्टिकल एक चीज जो आपने सीखा होगा क्लास 11th के बाद से, जो ओरिजिन और स्केल पे निर्भर नहीं करता.
Correlation.
So I think it calls for it. And this calls for a clap. Precisely. So any process, any procedure which uses correlation will not depend on these things. Since it doesn't depend, it will not matter. So that means So can you now, okay, can you now tell me a procedure which is based on correlation?
Spatial transportation.
No.
These are
No, not that. What I'm asking is, tell me any statistical analysis technique which is based on correlation. Starting point is correlation.
Relations analysis.
I tell my students I have got only 2 fingers, so 2 down. Assume this is 10th. एक तो regression बोला और क्या बोला?
Determination.
Coefficient of determination.
So, sir, so this is, yeah. So OD मार्केटिंग टाइम लोग है वो हो सकता है इसके ऊपर फैक्टर एनालिसिस इज वन सॉल्यूशन सो एक कॉमन डिबेट है ये फैक्टर एनालिसिस एक कॉमन डिबेट बिकॉज स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट डेटा नहीं है स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट है कोरिलेशन मैट्रिक्स एनालिसिस करने का सबसे पहला काम ही है कि कोरिलेशन कैलकुलेट करो उसके आगे बढ़ो इसका मतलब मेरी स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट में तो गड़बड़ तो हुई नहीं ना तो कोई भी काम करूंगा उसमें सपोज मैं टीटीएस लगा दिया वो सब में मैं मान के चल रहा हूँ कि ये सारे डेटा जो है ना स्ट्रॉन्गली मेजर है वो तो गलत होता है ना तो इसका मतलब जो लेसन लर्न है क्या आई हैव ए नाइफ इन द किचन टू कट एन एप्पल यू कट एन एप्पल दैट्स इट इट इज नॉट मेंट टू बी कटिंग say vegetables. If this were apple, it is for apple. So that you have to be careful. It's a common problem. You send out a research paper based on such analysis. So some strong statistics background person sees it and he will raise objections about this. Because most of your data is measured in this scale. Most of your data is measured in this scale. All the data that mostly in the first one. Okay, so correlation is something that we will remember for all time to come. We can believe it is not. In fact, वो एक छोटी सी एक प्रूफ है, वो किसी भी किताब में मिल जाता है, पर उसकी इम्प्लीकेशन बहुत ही फार रीचिंग है. अंग्रेजी लेवल में पढ़ाते हैं, तो अंग्रेजी में पढ़ाते हैं. Okay. The next is so just I will stop because I will stop in the middle.
We will continue. Because there is a lesson for people that we will continue this session. We will finish it right at
Level scale. So it has got all properties of the ordinal scale, माने nominal, ordinal. Ordinal में nominal के सब कुछ है, plus comparability है. Internal, ordinal के सब कुछ है, plus now intervals have got a meaning. Okay, intervals have got a meaning. We don't have to really get into details of this, but yeah, this last point is main. So ratios of any two intervals is independent of unit of measurement and of 0 point. 0 point. Okay, but the 0 point and the unit of measurement is arbitrary. That is what trouble means in this particular scale. Okay. So we'll see an example. I think that will clarify. So what is the problem? That I think we should. This one. This is the problem. Ratios of any two intervals is independent of unit of measurement and of 0 point. Ratios तो है, पर ये arbitrary है, ठीक है जी? Right. So let's see an example. This is a very बच्चों वाले example, but this बच्चों वाला example has got far-reaching consequences. So बच्चों वाला example तो ये है कि ये कुछ हमारा time खराब ना करो, you can break off. Right? But the trouble begins here. there will be temperature change from 0 to 10, and there is a change from 20 to 30. This change is same, but we can't say this. Delhi is 12 degree, Shimla is 6 degree. That doesn't mean Delhi is twice hotter than that we can. This is not possible, right? Okay. Some stage or the other you have done. I'll tell you the reference. Sydney Segal. That book's name is Sydney Segal. I was not able to recall it. Non-programmatic methods. E-book is available. Just 4 to 6 pages. You should have those pages print out. This is one. This is not the Indian spelling, huh? Segal. It's okay. So, because the origin is arbitrary, what we see is this. मैं जो बोल रहा था वो ये है. मैं जो बोल रहा था वो ये है. ऊपर टेबल में वैल्यू है. नीचे आप दो रेशियोज देख लीजिए. ये तो होल्ड करेगा, लेकिन इसका जो ये रिलेशन तो होल्ड करेगा इस स्केल में, ये तो ठीक है, लेकिन ये गड़बड़ रह गई, ये गड़बड़ रह गई. So this is the first truly quantitative scale. This is the first truly quantitative scale. Nominal, ordinal, internal, right? Okay. Yeah. So we can do these kind of things. We can do these kind of things. There is no problem. So you can think about it like this. Most of the statistical procedures can be applied to data which is measured in this field. DF का एक्सपर्ट चाहिए, आंसर वेरिएंस चाहिए, इसका मतलब मल्टीपल कंपैरिजन पे है. आंसर वेरिएंस इज नथिंग बट मल्टीपल कंपैरिजंस, राइट? आई गॉट इक्वलिटी ऑफ मीन्स टेस्टिंग. 2 में के लिए तो ऐसे हो जाएगा, 3 चाहिए तो F तक पहुंच जाना पड़ेगा आंसर वेरिएंस का, ना? Right. So you think about analysis like that. You don't have to really study the methods. Nobody has because actually ये एक major problem है between theory and application. Theory इतना develop हो गया, application करने के लिए बहुत ऐसे level में चाहिए जिसके लिए सारा theory जानने के बाद application करने को wait नहीं कर सकते, वो जिंदगी निकल जाएगी. I hope I made sense, right? And with a lot of conviction I am saying this. Or conviction I am saying this. So, but you have to know what can be used where. That is necessary. ये एक major gray area है statistics के साथ. Modern, क्योंकि आपके पास tools available है. जिसको R आता, Python आता, SPSS में तो फिर भी दिखेगा सामने. R और Python जिसको आता है, वो तो इतना दिखेगा ही नहीं ना. वो तो black box है. एक लाइन लगाया, पूरा फैक्टर हो गया, जवाब आ गया. तो हुआ क्या, सही है नहीं है, वो सब आपको देखना पड़ेगा. यहाँ ये फायदा है कि you can see the results in front. That's the advantage. So अगर मुझे कोई personal choice पूछे ना, मैं यूज नहीं करता लेकिन for factor analysis I will never use SPSS because I have a coding background, right? Generally not. Then R Python is not a good choice. R Python is not a good choice. SPSS is much better because you will be able to connect with Excel integrate with Excel very easily. Right? We'll see that.
So is it only for factor analysis that you're saying R and Python or other?
So like It's a non-linear modeling, for instance. In SPSS, it's nothing. R, Python is the best. R is still very good. SPSS is okay because you have got a lot of limitations. It's a bootstrap you want to use. Suppose one example I'm using bootstrap service you want to use as a technique. Then SPSS has got limitations. SPSS will, inside of the procedure, they may give you a option for bootstrapping. But in R and Python, it is your imagination. You can do it. So it is actually technique specific. So if you are using these standard analysis techniques for data analysis, which is the theme for the day, multivariate data analysis, then SPSS is better. One simple example, variable labeling in SPSS is much simpler. Variable labeling. So value labels in SPSS is much simpler than in say R. Python, not good. Right? This example that we have discussed, I think this is the actual thing in FDP. This is the actual thing. बाकी तो ठीक है, लेकिन तो हर किसी को आता है और प्लस you can sit down and do it. So that means इसीलिए मैंने बोला डेटा आपके पास आ गया, रिसर्च ऑब्जेक्टिव आपके पास आ गया, उसके बाद फर्स्ट डिसीजन that you make about the software is very crucial because you may make it or you may break it. Okay, back to the internal scale. What we can do, you can think about like you can do almost everything, right? Internal scale. Right. Internal scale बोलेंगे तो ये वाला बच्चों वाला एग्जांपल आपको दिमाग पे आ जाए तो चलेगा, और ये जो रेशियो है ना, क्रक्स है इसमें, right? So ratios of the intervals of the scales are fixed constant. एकदम formally अगर हम लोग, बराबर? Let's move on to the last one. That is the ratio scale. We found that there was a problem. Where was the problem? This 10 and 50 was a problem, right? On temperature. So this is everything, this scale as well, everything that are the interval scale. Plus, it also has got a 0 point, which is well defined. And so examples such as these will follow this category. Right? So ounce, pound, grams, feet, centimeters are all examples of ratio scale. These are two numbers having a well-defined 0 point. 0 point is a big thing. 0 point is a big thing that we have seen. So in that ordinal example, we could not apply anything other than correlation, because we will have to be looking for procedures that are not dependent on the origin and the scale. Right? Right or wrong, I don't know. Like, what is your perception? But this is it. Okay. So we'll take up factor analysis. The moment we take up factor analysis, you will immediately see why the starting point is not the original data, but correlation methods. Okay. So this I think explains the whole. This example explains the whole. This is about feet, right? So broadly then, we have talked about 4 scales, but for a purpose of SPSS, I will club the last 2 into a single. SPSS has done that. So in SPSS, you have got nominal, ordinal, and the third as scale. Third as scale, right? So when I say scale, that means any of the 2, interval or ratio. Because we do not make a distinction for analysis. जो analysis कर सकता है उसके ऊपर कोई limitations नहीं, ठीक है? तो इसलिए SPSS की data preparation का काम हम करेंगे. I don't know whether you have done that, but we will do it. Right? Okay. So this is what we have here, and
And if you don't put on the code sheet properly, then you cannot analyze further in this case. It's very essential code sheet. The code sheet is very essential.
Yes. The code sheet is very important.
Very important.
So that is what we say is, so there are two stages. One is decoding the questionnaire. अगर पुराने questionnaire अगर आपने देखा होगा कभी, तो उसमें क्या था, राइट साइड में ना एक कॉलम होता था, स्क्वायर्स बॉक्सेस होते थे। उन बॉक्सेस पे उन क्वेश्चंस के कोड लिखते थे हम, बराबर। आज के डेट पे वो फॉर्मेट यूज नहीं करते हैं, पर लर्निंग तो वही है, कर तो वही रहेगा, वो चेंज नहीं हुआ।
That was visible in the questionnaire previously, but now we are doing now by.
क्योंकि अभी YouTube वीडियो हमने सीखा था ना, कंट्रोल F, कंट्रोल R इज नेवर एवर डू इट, डिजास्ट्रस सिस्टम। मैंने अभी मेरी one of my relation, she is associate professor in Bombay, so she sent me a questionnaire. She was not happy with the results. Someone did for her. So the code sheet she sent me. I asked her for the original data. I coded it myself. I did it for 2 hours. So then I match. I find that they do not match. That means they were coded wrongly. If your coding is wrong, then everything else will be wrong. So ये तो वही वाली बात होगी ना, आप ऐसे आर्टिस्ट है, ये समझने के लिए बहुत बड़ी, तो अगर कोई आर्टिस्ट है, ब्रास अगर गड़बड़ कर दिया, तो सब कुछ गड़बड़ हो जाएगा, क्योंकि आप सही बन ही नहीं सकता, फिर तो मॉडर्न आर्ट बोलो, ना, right? Yeah. So.
Sir, one question.
Yeah.
So like we collect data and we wait for at least 2 months for the data to be collected. So is there any checkpoint in between that the data collected are going in the right direction or not? Because after 2 months we see it's all chaos and data is not giving any relevant output is not out. Sometimes we are even countering the ROL. Might be because the data is not filled with intelligence. So sir, what do we, is there some checkpoints by some descriptive analysis doing something? We say that the variables has to be highly correlated and the construct should not be correlated among them. So before running SPSS comes later on. Before running SPSS, by the limited data, say about this data collected having 50-60, just by gazing the data with the help of some descriptive analysis, can I make some opinion that yes, the data is going in the right direction or not? Some checkpoints, what I mean to say.
Yes. In fact, that is a point I covered a little earlier in a different context. This very much should be done. Because it's like Google फॉर्म में क्या है, जब फिजिकल जब क्वेश्चन ले लेकर के जाते थे तो कंट्रोल होता था। गूगल फॉर्म में तो कंट्रोल है नहीं, आपको बस डेटा आ रहा है, क्या आ रहा है आपको पता ही नहीं है, राइट? यही मैंने बोला ना आपको, जैसे एज जेंडर सपोज you find that age gender representation is not good, then you have to push in that direction. वही क्वेश्चन में सपोज मेल का डोमिनेंस ज़्यादा आ गया तो फिर फीमेल का रिप्रेजेंटेशन होगा ही नहीं, तो गड़बड़ हो जाएगा रिजल्ट में। तो फिर आपको वो मिडवे एक्चुअली डेटा को चेक करते रहना चाहिए जिस वक्त कलेक्ट हो रहा है, वो छोड़ नहीं देना, ऑटो पायलट मोड में छोड़ना नहीं चाहिए, और ये जनरली ऑटो पायलट मोड में छोड़ दिया जाता है। सो करें क्या, एज जेंडर इज अ वेरी गुड एग्जाम्पल। सो आपने देखा कि एज जेंडर में कि आपका से एज फीमेल रिप्रेजेंटेशन नहीं आ रहा है, तो आप क्या करेंगे, पुश करना पड़ेगा ऐसे ग्रुप को, फॉर्म को भेजना पड़ेगा एक्स्ट्रा, या उनको कुछ व्हाट्सएप मैसेजेस भेजने पड़ेंगे, क्योंकि सब कुछ तो आजकल व्हाट्सएप के थ्रू ही होता है, इवन क्वेश्चनर्स आर सेंट थ्रू व्हाट्सएप।
ये डेटा तो सर स्पेशली अबाउट
Please 1 minute. We'll go for a 10 minutes break, not more than that. Please take it as a 10 minutes because the reason is that